Well, this looks like a nice machine.
Yeah, it is. It's I think it'd be a good fit for you, and we'll just unload it. And then I don't know how much you want to go through it. You know, I can go through the whole gamut, or if you want to go.
Yeah, I'd probably say we can. I can film some of that too, just to have it. That door system is one of the nice things that I love about it.
You know, it is nice because, you know, Bobcat, Case, they all got the side open door. So if you got the bucket up just a little bit, you can't get out. So
yeah,
that is nice.
Well, and a lot of people told me too when I first, they were like, you know, if it's a nice day and you're not doing something super dirty or whatever, it's kind of nice to be able to have a little more air too, and be able to work and not, you know, even though you got enclosed cab, those sides don't give you like a ton of air.
No, you gotta have a good cross breeze to get something to come through there.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
no, that is definitely nice, in that you can actually operate it with the door up, because those other ones you gotta have the door closed to be able to operate it, otherwise it won't let you do anything. So
yeah. Alright, so I've been saying that it's kind of exciting times out here at the property. You've probably been hearing me say that quite a bit lately, but today I have Turner here. He dropped off this machine right here, probably the first big piece of equipment that I have ever owned, and that who knows what we're going to need out here, but for sure this thing is going to work for a long time to come. So I want to thank Turner from Minnesota, here back in my homeland, actually very close to where I grew up.
Yep, Worthington, Minnesota.
Yep.
So.
And Turner has the most amazing accent as far as Minnesota accents go. Somehow I was not blessed with this, even though we're from almost the same area. But
yeah, I've been known to have the old Minnesotan accent every now and then.
Yep. So you want to kind of tell us what you guys, you know, you have a few different stores, but what you guys carry and what you offer.
Yep. So I work with Jaycox Implement. We have 3 locations: one in Laverne, Minnesota, one in Worthington, Minnesota, and then Lake Park, Iowa is our 3rd location. At all 3 locations, we are a full-line Case IH dealer, and as well as full-line Bobcat, so all 3 locations carry Bobcat. And then our Worthington store carries Kubota as well.
Yeah, Turner has actually just contacted me because he was watching the videos on the various channels here that we have going, and you know, he reached out and just said, hey, I don't know what type of equipment you need, or maybe you don't need anything at this point, but if you ever do, get in touch with me. And that's been a really good relationship that we've kind of had over the last couple months, kind of figuring out what I need and him helping me along the way. So definitely, if you guys are in the need for some type of equipment, get in touch with them and they'll help you out.
Yeah. Appreciate your business, Ryan.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Then you got some of your auxiliary functions. So if you had, this would be your 2nd and 3rd function auxiliaries. So if you had like a snowblower or something that's got 2 or 3 functions, you could use that to like run the turret or move the spout up or down or something like that.
Okay.
Then over here we got our main auxiliary. So these are your momentary for your main hydraulics. So if you run it that way, you're going to run flow the one way, run it the other way. As long as you hold it, it'll keep running flow. This is the latching flow to turn it on. So like for a rotary brush cutter, hit those 2 buttons down there. Then this is to engage your auxiliary function. You press that key down, and then you can run those electric functions for a 1st, 2nd, or 3rd electric function down there. And then your bucket float is on this trigger. Okay. So you just hit that. If you go push this down like this and then hit that button, your boom is going to come down, and then that way you get float for grading and stuff like that.
Okay.
You can keep it, as long as you keep the stick where it's at, it'll stay in float, both forward and reverse. So then just to get out of it, you can click the trigger or pull back on the stick there. Yeah, fixed throttle, foot throttle, your safety interlock, parking brake. Over here, your auxiliary hydraulics to engage the standard flow. You just press that up. You get an aux button or icon down in the panel here. If you want to go to high flow, you press this down for 3 seconds, and then that'll flash down here, and you'll be on high flow there. And then you got your lights, and then your self-leveling bucket. So with that engaged, when you lift the bucket up, it'll keep it nice and level on the way up there. So on this other side, we got our interlock system. So this is hydraulic interlocks for attaching buckets and other attachments. So unlock, lock, runs this cylinder down here, runs the pins down on the bucket to hold it on securely. Wiper fluid and wipers. And then this is the regeneration, DPF regeneration stop. So if you're in an enclosed area, or if you're in an area where there's potential to have a fire or something like that due to hot gases when the DPF goes on, so you can just disable that, so that way when you're in those spots it won't try to do a regeneration or something. But when it does do a regen, this light will be on, and that way it'll tell you. It should take about 15 to 20 minutes. The biggest thing is that while it's doing a regen, you just don't want to shut it off, because otherwise with that burn going on, it's going to have higher exhaust temperatures, which would then, if you shut it off right away, it won't get a chance to get it to cool down properly, and can cause some issues back there.
We have air in here and everything too, right?
Yep, so your air and AC, turn that on to turn the AC condenser on, or the compressor. But yeah, then you got your blender here and your fan speed.
Awesome.
Yeah, so if you are going to operate with the door open, you just want to run those latches in to latch it up. These also have a detent for in the upper position, so you got to hit the little handle deals on top to bring it down, as well as back to up. From your angle, if you ever do want to clean this area out, say it builds up with mud or something like that, if you loosen these 2 bolts and then you pull this panel off, you'll get to a drain area, so you can power wash that out, or take that mud and be able to get it out of there, and then get the water to drain out of there as well too.
That's nice.
Then it's the ISO style pattern, so this sticks all for your movement. This is for the boom and the bucket. For your hydraulic fluid level, the gauge is actually right down in here. So you want the boom down, the bucket kind of on a level spot, but you just want it to be pretty close to half full on the oil and stuff like that, kind of where that ring is. If you need to add hydraulic oil, your fill spigot is right here. You just take a wrench off and twist the cap off, and then you can put oil in there. As far as lubrication points, this is going to be the same. They're matching on both sides, but you got all your boom pins and things like that for your cylinders. Those are a daily grease item, usually just like 2 or 3 shots in each one. That is good. The other practice I try to tell people to helps out a lot is if you power wash it, it's not bad to grease it afterwards, just to expel any water that may have gotten inside the pins and get that dispersed, so you don't have any sort of rusting or corrosion on that. But you got one here, here, and here. You got one here and here on your crossbar, your lift cylinder. And then if we move to the front, we got our inside pin here, the outside down here, our rotating pin for our bucket, and then on each of the pins, as far as the attachment, there's a little zerk right down back in here, right underneath these 2 spots for that attachment zerk. Then the same on the other side. So I think there's 10 total points, or 12 points total to hit each day. And like I said, a few shots a day is about all you need. I usually recommend like a lithium complex EP2 grease. Service door swings up in here, and there's a pin right here you can drop in to hold the door in place for you if you're going to be working in a while. This is your AC condenser, and this is your engine radiator. Coolant level running at about 50% full. You want to check that before you start operating, obviously, because as things get warmer, it's going to expand and stuff like that. Engine oil, dipstick, it's right back under here. And then your fill port is right down there. Air filter is right here. If you ever need to blow that out. Just use a small amount of compressed air. This would be where your DPF actually is. There is an EGR on these engines too, so that's why keeping your coolant level up is a kind of important thing. If it drops down too far, you risk possibly cracking that EGR and causes problems there. Primary fuel filter here, every so often just double check and see if there's any water in there. That's your water separator. So all you'd have to do is just, there's a drain line, you'd loosen that up just a little bit, and then underneath there's a plate right here that you can, 2 bolts, takes those out, and then you can pop that drain line off and get the water out of the fuel. So it depends on your fuel quality, but most likely you won't have to drain too much water out of there.
Okay.
So over here, which it is, nice thing is it is locked or lockable, so you can just lock that key up so no one can tamper with it. As far as fluids, that's pretty well everything. Your auxiliary hydraulics, you got 2 sizes, standard and large, depends on your flow requirements and stuff. If you are in high flow mode, you only get high flow out of these 2 ports. If the fluid is going from these ports back into here, it's standard flow. So just something to be aware of. And then this is like a case drain for a motor, kind of like you'd see on a brush cutter or something. Anything with a big hydraulic motor might need that. Okay. And then this is your 14-pin attachment cable. So that's to run those extra functions and stuff like that. Some attachments use them, some don't. Your track tension is underneath here. So you just take these 2 bolts off. There's a grease zerk under there, and actually it's grease is what's keeping the tension, or that's in the cylinder to keep the track tension up. It's not bad to just double check it, especially these first 50, 100 hours to check the tension. The way the book, I guess, describes how to do the tension is they actually want you to jack the whole machine up, and then they say about 1 inch of clearance on these rollers, between the inch of clearance between the actual steel of the roller and the belt is about what you want, or the track. But you can just kind of double check too with deflection. Looks like we deflect about 1/2 inch. So if you start getting where you can deflect a lot more for whatever reason, then you might need to tension it up a little bit.
Okay. All right, it's time to actually get this thing dirty. I buy something new and I don't like to use it. That's how I am. Thing I wanted to do today was clean up kind of around some of these plots and just make it look a little better and a little even. Hopefully, since it's slightly wetter today, I can kind of even this out and make it look a little bit nicer. We'll see what it does.
I'm not even remotely an expert at this. These are my first few hours in the machine and many, many hours to go. But I think what I've learned about this experience this year on our new land is that although being outside of your comfort zone is never easy, in the end you gain valuable experience and new skills. And that's all part of the journey and part of the adventure. And there's plenty more of that in store for years to come.